Hello, thank you for joining me today. This is Santa Ana College Close Up. I'm Andrew Lapp. I have some amazing guests who are going to be joining me later, but we're going to start our show with a peek inside SAC's fashion department. Take a look. If you've ever considered going into the field of fashion, the fashion design and merchandising department at Santa Ana College may be for you. Whether you've got a keen eye for costume design or just an interest in selling t-shirts, SAC's fashion department offers classes that can help students reach their full potential. Lessons aren't necessarily taught in your typical classroom environment. Students can get hands-on experience with sewing machines, digital design programs, and even a new t-shirt printer. Creating digital patterns is made easier with technology like a 3D scanner, which transforms digital photos of real-life models into a digital format which students can then edit on computers. Fashion students also get the opportunity to showcase their work in fashion shows and professional quality photo shoots, which can help boost their portfolio and has even helped some start their careers in the industry. Welcome back. Here to talk with me about SAC's fashion department is Kyla Benson. Kyla, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Could we just start maybe with like a brief overview of what SAC's fashion department does and like the kind of classes that you guys offer?
Sure. We are a great place to start if you're interested in pursuing an education in fashion. We have a 2-year program where we help students get the necessary skills to get their first jobs in the apparel industry. We help students learn skills and build a portfolio so that when they're done with their program, that can assist them to get a job. Our students strive to get their AA degree. However, a lot of them aren't done there. They also like to transfer to our local university partners to do some upper division units and eventually finish with their bachelor's degree.
Okay, that's interesting to me because I know like media, fashion, they're like kind of like really fast-paced, ever-changing industries. Do you find that like a lot of people go straight from here into the industry, or is there like an internship process, or do most people go to university? What's that kind of like?
It's a huge mix, to be honest with you. I think a lot of students have the intention to go to the university. Then, all students have to take an internship class that is required, and sometimes that turns into an opportunity of a full-time job, so then they don't pursue the bachelor's degree, which I'm not always a fan of, but of course I understand. I do want everyone to continue education. I'm a professor, I can't
When
help
opportunity knocks, I mean, sometimes you just have to go, but
yeah, absolutely. But yeah.
Okay, so you guys, I got to visit your class, and it was very interesting because it didn't look anything like a classroom. It looked a lot like I don't want to say sweatshop, but that's the only word that's popping in mind. Not
I would say
a bad
it looks
one.
like a lab, a fashion lab, a creative lab, a studio, if you will. No, you're absolutely right. We have our drawing tables that are standing height to do pattern drafting or drawing at. They also double as lecture tables. And then we have rows of industrial sewing machines. I love our industrial sewing machines. They can go fast or slow. You can put them on different speeds, but they give you a really nice quality stitch. We have more than just the boring single needle sewing machine. We also have, fancy ones like a a buttonhole machine. We have sergers, cover stitches. And then if you enter into our computer lab, you'll see 20 iMac computers that all have Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop installed. We also have pattern drafting software on that.
Okay.
You'll see a big digitizing board where you can put up a garment and scan that garment into the computer where you can make changes to it. We also have this little circular thing on the ground that you can stand on and get scanned, and we can make an avatar of your body in the computer and try on clothes virtually, which is really neat.
I saw that actually. That was amazing.
Yeah, and then you might have seen also our printing equipment, so we can print t-shirts and fabric as well in our classroom and embroider them.
Wow.
So lots of things going on. Yeah, it's very hands-on.
No, it looked like very busy. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, lots of creative action going on.
So in your classes, what do you usually like start students off with like making, because like, you know, personally, like if I had like no experience sewing, if I'd never touched that, what do I start doing when I go to your class?
Gosh, you know, the first thing I would send you to is probably our careers class, just so you can learn about the different aspects in the industry and try to figure out what's best for your personality, if you should go the more creative route or the more business route. And then right after that, whether you are going to do business or the creative side, either way, take a sewing class, because at the end of the day, that is going to help you be a better designer or be, you know, better at costing garments and being a better buyer, whatever it might be that you end up in. And then I'd also get you into fashion illustration, where you learn how to draw on the computer. That's now extremely important to get an internship. Even if you are pursuing the business side more than the creative side, companies still expect students to know a little bit of Adobe Illustrator. So those are the 3 classes I'd get you in. First.
Yeah. That's very interesting to me. Is that, I mean, obviously, like, technology is changing everything around us, like, faster than you can, you know, even like
it's exciting.
Faster than we can even adapt sometimes.
Yes.
But what are some of the changes that you guys have made recently, like specifically with technology, to kind of like keep up to date?
Oh my gosh, you know, it's really exciting to be in the apparel industry right now when it comes to technology. There's a lot going on in the industry. You've probably noticed just with machine learning and artificial intelligence and when you're online shopping. But there's also something new that's gaining a lot of popularity, which is virtual sampling. We've already seen it with pattern drafting locally in Orange County and wholesalers. But now we're also seeing it with our major retailers are starting to offer it. So what it is, it's basically 3D garment design, 3D garment drafting, pattern drafting, and you can scan in your body and then you draft your pattern and you virtually sew it up and try it on that 3D avatar. And it's pretty realistic, and you type in what kind of fabric it is so that the fabric's going to drape accordingly, if, you know, whether it's made of cotton or polyester or whether it's knitted or woven together. And you get a test fit right away. So it's a nice way for buyers to make better educated decisions about what styles they're buying. So that way they can buy maybe closer to season. They don't have to buy so far ahead and wait 3 months to see a sample. They could see a digital one much quicker. So this is a big change that's happening in the apparel industry right now, and I'm so excited that our department is on board. We're actually the only fashion program I can think of that has an entire computer lab with 3D software installed on it, which is super neat. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of technology in the apparel industry, and like I said, you know, interns are even expected to know the basics about Adobe Illustrator just to get an unpaid internship, which is kind of crazy, but technology is important. You know, another reason is because a lot of factories are overseas, and so you need to be able to communicate digitally.
Yeah, you can't be there to actually oversee everything.
Yeah, you can't always talk to them about it. So you need to be able to draw, you know, like with technical drawings and draw well and to really communicate your ideas. And the quickest way to do that is on the computer, because you can just send it out, and if there's changes, it's easier to do than if you had only done it by hand. So yeah, technology is extremely important, which is great. I think it's fun. I love it.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that that, you know, that we're making sure that students get the opportunity to, like, you know, get their hands on stuff that's actually going to be really applicable in the industry. But I also noticed when I was like kind of surfing through like the fashion website that you guys have a lot of like very creative, like costumed kind of design stuff, stuff that like probably wouldn't be like sold by like major retailers, I'm guessing. I don't know, like I'm not the most fashion minded.
Yeah, you know, our program is called the fashion department. It's not my favorite word, to be honest with you, because when I worked in the apparel industry myself for 10 years, and I always called it apparel or design. The word fashion just makes me think of runway in New York, but that's what the colleges call it. Schools call it fashion, so I haven't made an effort to change it. But it really, to me, fashion is just very like what's in style right now. But the apparel industry is more than that. And in fact, a lot of times the apparel industry might be about figuring out what's that design that, you know, just that average student can wear day to day to school. You know, it's not something super fashionable. It's just something comfortable, classic, gets them through the day, gets them feeling good, and that's your design challenge. Then there's also, you know, whole anime industry and costume industry as well. And there's
I see now. Yeah, that's probably where you would see a lot of crossover from that.
Absolutely, yeah. And so a lot of students come to our program because they're going to conventions and they want to make costumes for those conventions, and then they want to post it and sell those costumes for those conventions as well. We also have had some students that are interested in historical costumes as well, and there's lots of events as well that promote that. And then there's students that want to work in costume design. So you have a crossover between theater students coming to our program too.
Oh, okay.
As well.
So there's a lot of like cross-pollination with other departments too.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Kyla, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, you're
Unfortunately,
welcome.
that's all the time we have right now.
Okay.
But we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to hear from one of the alums from SAC's fashion department. So stay tuned.
I chose Santa Ana College due to the fact that they do offer a lot of help for their students when it comes to the CTE program. So I do want to get certificates, so that's a great help.
Professors are here to like actually tell you like, hey, I'm here to help you.
I chose to come to SAG because of the classes they offered, because no other community college offered the classes that I wanted to pursue my transfer to university.
The MESA program, they like lend me books for like my chemistry, my bio, and the learning center. They help me so much.
My favorite thing here is the people. I love the people here.
You know, I think in the end of the day, I kind of metaphorically told myself, you know what? I'm here because I'm growing with the school. So when the school is done, you know, being constructed and whatnot, you know, it's kind of like me kind of being done growing and whatnot. So I kind of related a bit, you know.
Hello again. My next guest is Rebecca Daniels, an esteemed alum from SAC's fashion department. Becca, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So let's just start simple. What was your time like here being in the fashion department, and where are you now? Because, you know, I'm really excited to be able to talk to you because we haven't had an alum on the show yet. So I really want to hear, like, where have you gone since SAC?
Yeah, of course. The fashion department was a really great experience for me. I learned so much, like, about the fashion industry itself that I thought I knew, but I actually didn't. So the fact that the department was kind of small, like we really got an intimate experience with all of the professors involved, and a lot of the people in the department, in the department itself, we all got along really well, and we were all very close because we were all, you know, doing the same thing, but in a much smaller, more condensed department.
Yeah.
And since I graduated in 2016, my first job outside of school was working in a menswear specialty shop.
Okay.
So I worked there for about 2 years, and then out of the blue, I was recruited by St. John Knits via LinkedIn. So never ever knock LinkedIn, because you never know what might come across your plate.
Don't doubt LinkedIn.
Exactly. And so since then, I have been working at St. John Knits as what they call a wardrobe specialist. I cater to a lot of different women from different backgrounds of life. A lot of them are either visiting the country from the Middle East or from Europe or even from China, all the way down to the woman who lives right across the street from the mall that we're in. So it's been a really great experience being able to meet all these different people and being able to use the skills that I learned when I was in the department.
Yeah, so it kind of almost sounds like you're, tell me if I'm totally off here, but it almost sounds like you're kind of like a personal stylist now?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay.
That's simply put, I am a personal stylist.
Okay, very cool, very cool. Do you probably don't do like a lot of sewing now?
I actually do.
Oh, really? Okay.
I try to keep up with it as much as I can. I've been doing a little bit of freelance work on the side outside of my job at St. John's, creating costumes, gowns, basically anything of the sort that a client might need.
Oh,
so
very nice.
I've been doing that for a few months now, and it's a great way to bring in a little bit of extra income.
Okay.
And it's really great being able to really sit down with a client and really kind of get to know them a little bit first, and then kind of get to the bottom of what exactly it is they want when it comes to a garment.
That sounds really fun. Like that sounds like a really cool way to like actually be able to use like the creativity part of it, and not just being like, well, I know how to print t-shirts or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's great about the fashion department. You can pick and choose as many different classes as you want, and that really helps you figure out what you actually want to do. Like, for instance, I took a bunch of different, I mean, obviously I took advantage and took a bunch of different classes, and that's when I really learned that I loved the design process itself. I loved coming up with the concept. I loved being able to come up with technical patterns, being able to drape, and kind of see my concept go from paper to an actual garment.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I was actually just talking to Kyla a minute ago about how the Saks fashion department now has like a lot of, they have like iMacs, they have digital scanners. Is that the kind of stuff that you got to use there? And like, was it really like applicable to your career once you got outside of that?
From what I remember seeing on social media through their Facebook pages and Instagram pages, a lot of that actually came after I graduated. So not gonna lie, I'm a little bit jealous that some of the fun tech that they have I didn't get to use, but there were plenty of other uses that we had. Like there's this one website that a lot of businesses in the fashion industry use called WGSN, and it's essentially a trend forecasting website. So the fact that we were able to gain access to this information, whereas a school like FITM or FIT in New York don't really have access to this program, it was really awesome, and I feel like it definitely gave us an advantage for kind of getting ahead.
Yeah, totally. Insider access, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. So, but now that you are in the field, do you think that like some of the stuff that I mentioned earlier that I was talking about with Kyla, like, do you see that as being like really helpful to students who are in there now? Like, would that have been like a big boost for you?
I think in certain aspects, yes, especially when it comes to the fast fashion industry. And fast fashion, as we all know, is, you know, shops like H&M, Forever 21, all those stores that kind of crank out merchandise in a very quick manner.
Yeah.
So I think if that kind of technology is there, it's really good for students that, you know, do want to work for those companies. So then they actually know what's going on and everything. Me personally, for working at St. John, they don't really do a whole lot of, you know, printing on T-shirts or anything like that. It's very much like textiles basically brought it from scratch. And actually working for St. John and being a part of the fashion program as well, we actually got to take a tour of the St. John factory here in Irvine.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they're one of the.
Did you kind of make a connection at that time, and that like helped you get the job later?
A little bit, yes.
Okay.
So I will admit that was kind of a fair advantage for me. So basically, what it was basically we took a trip, and the entire factory, we got to see, you know, the thread being spun for the yarn. We got to see each part of a garment being knitted on a machine, and there are hundreds of these machines going on at the exact same time. It's really a sight to be seen.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And if you have the chance to go and look at how a luxury retailer manufactures their garments, especially here in Southern California, like, I would definitely encourage you to go. Okay.
Yeah, I'll just have to admit, I'm not too familiar with like St. John's knits, but that's super interesting because I know a lot of manufacturing, you know, for apparel goes on, you know, abroad, abroad internationally. So that's interesting. Is that like kind of what drew you to that place and your position that you have now?
Definitely so. Again, it was just a really awesome experience to be able to see in person how this is all done.
Yeah.
Because I know for a fact that a lot of manufacturing places, like especially here in Southern California, are probably located near Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And I know for a lot of us, Los Angeles is a bit difficult for us to get to, mostly because of the traffic.
Yeah.
But
it's a nightmare.
Yes, it's definitely a nightmare all the time, no matter what time you go. But basically, it's really great to literally see this kind of manufacturing in our own backyard.
Yeah.
And I think that's, again, a really great advantage for SAC students.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. That's actually, so it was part of like a field trip? Or?
Yes, it was
okay.
Part of, if I remember correctly, it was the Intro to Fashion course.
So really? So right away you guys
So right
got
away, probably I want to say maybe near the middle or the end of the semester,
Okay.
that's when we took that field trip, and that's when we got to see everything that goes on. So yeah, for basically a first class right off the bat, like you get to go and tour this luxury ready-to-wear retailer. Like, it was a really awesome experience.
Yeah, no, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was.
I'm interested in hearing from you, like kind of what got you interested in fashion in the first place? Is that something that like started here at SAC, or is it something you've had for a long time?
Honestly, it is something I have had for a really long time. It turns out that when my mom was a SAC student.
Oh, really?
Yes, my mom is
multi-generational.
Yes, it is multi-generational. She actually was in the fashion program here as well.
Oh, really?
So I kind of grew up with that mentality of appreciating clothing and garments and what you wear and how you present yourself in the world. Because at least for me, I know I want to present myself to the world at least, you know, kind of a little bit, no offense to anybody out there, but a little bit more than a pair of yoga pants.
Yeah, put your best foot forward.
Yes, exactly. So that's something that she really kind of taught me at a very young age. And ever since then, you know, shows like Project Runway would pop up, and just being able to see all these creative designers go through the entire process and seeing what they can come up with on a whim, like that just fascinated me. And I kind of looked, and the more I would talk with my mom about it, the more I wanted to find out what this industry was.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that I did, and I'm so glad that I had her support.
So I'm interested also in hearing, because you mentioned that like it's a pretty compact department, the fashion department. Did you notice like a little bit of variety with the students? Like were there students who were just kind of like checking it out and you know, just kind of like seeing what it was like versus like, or were there more people who were maybe a little bit more like you and like kind of had that goal in mind from the beginning?
From what I remember, there were a lot of people that I kind of had the same classes with, and I would see them semester after semester. Very rarely did I see a student that just kind of was there for a semester and then left, and then we never saw them again. So yeah, that's another great thing that I would say about the fashion department is that, again, we all kind of know each other, and we all kind of help each other out as well.
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. That's very similar to kind of how the DMC is here. We're very much like one big family.
Right.
Yeah. Becca, thank you very much. It's been great talking to you. That's actually all the time we have today, guys. Thanks again for joining us, and be sure to check back later for the next edition of SAC Close Up.